Could you speak about the neurophysiology of forgiveness?
Sure. Think about frozen circuits. Frozen circuits are hardwired circuits. The more profound the insult to the person that is connected to a strong emotion, the more the brain freezes circuitry. The more we think about the experience, the more we fire and wire the circuits in our brain. Yes or no?
Yes.
And the more we remember the event, the more we produce the emotions that are associated with it, and we're conditioning the brain and body further into the past. Yes or no?
Yes.
And you keep doing it enough times, it's no longer conscious that you're holding a grudge. It's no longer conscious that you're stuck. It's now you're seeing everybody through the lens of that experience, and everybody's a betrayer. Everybody can't be trusted. Everybody is that same person. You're overlaying the memory of your experience into reality. You're not seeing it the way it is. You're seeing that person wearing the mask of the last person. That's the lens that we're perceiving reality. Are you with me still? And so then anything in your life that becomes remotely close to it based on your limited perception triggers the emotion in the network, and you're back in your past, and you're acting like you were when it happened. Are you with me still? And so then the person says, I'm not that person. And you say, oh, no, I know. I just had this event in my past, and I'm sorry. And then it's excusable, but then here it happens again. And there's nothing wrong with this. We all do it. It's just, how do we overcome it? So then you're sitting and doing the work, and you're moving energy up those centers. You're releasing the life force into your brain. You are blessing those centers and taking a scoop and moving it all the way up and releasing it all the way up into the field. You're opening the channel. You're unfolding as nobody, no one, no thing, no where, and no time, and the identity and the personality is gone. Energy's going to move. It's got to. It's going to follow the path. You're opening your heart. Once it gets to your heart, it's going to make its way all the way up. And when you feel love and compassion, when you feel true kindness and care, it's hard to hold a grudge. Are you with me still?
Yes.
So then from a quantum physics point of view, you have that person always in the back of your mind, right? You have the event and the memory rolling around back there because the very thing that you don't want to have happen, you're already preparing for emotionally. Are you with me still?
Yeah.
So then from a quantum perspective, you are actually, as a creator of reality, holding yourself hostage because of that person. And you are holding them hostage because of that experience. And you have an energetic bond that's connecting you to them. And you're sharing the same energy. And so then you're using each other to reaffirm whatever that energetic agreement is. Are you with me still? So then when you forgive someone, it's because there's been a strong change in your emotional state. Because the emotion is what's keeping you energetically bound to them or to more than one person. And so then once you start lowering the volume to that emotion and the body starts liberating energy, and you're calling your energy back to you, because the lower the volume of the emotion, the less you're going to pay attention to that person, there comes a moment where there's a snap, there's a release. The energy is broken. And once it's broken now, all of a sudden, you free yourself. And you free them. And this has happened to me in my life. The people show up 10 years later, completely changed and so humble and so asking for forgiveness just because they had transformed, and I let them go. So then forgiveness from a quantum perspective and a neurophysiological perspective is just taking your attention off them. That's all it is. And when you start getting happy with yourself and you start feeling those elevated emotions because you're striving for that, you wouldn't trade this for the grudge you were holding because this feels too good. Are you with me still? Now, once that heart opens up and you start having energy in the center and it's releasing 1,300 to 1,400 different chemicals that begin to restore and regenerate the body, the body start getting a lift of energy. Once it makes its here, now you're going to see that track sending in energy to the brain. The heart acts as an amplifier to boost the brain. Are you with me still? Yep. So then once the energy starts making its way into the brain, once the heart starts to open, we've measured this with our students. They have oxytocin levels rise. Once you start feeling oxytocin, when you feel more love, then you feel the grudge. So then you think, why would I want to give this up for that person? That's called forgiveness. You don't have to try to do it. It just is a side effect of your personal transformation. And oxytocin then, when it's released, rushes right into the amygdala, the survival center of the brain, and the research is outstanding. And the first thing it does is it fits in the same receptor sites as fear, and it lowers the volume to fear and anxiety. It shuts the lights out for aggression and anger and hostility, and it cools the circuits off for suffering and pain, and the only thing you can feel is a love for life. And that's when you're free. Now, the practice of forgiveness, matter to matter, you can do it, but it takes a long time and a lot of work. And then you forgive, and then you're like, I don't want to forgive him. Halfway forgive him. And just never really authentic forgiveness. Do you understand? And you know, there was a woman that came to our work, and she was raped by 4 men when she was a teenager, and it was abusive. And she had severe night terrors, severe anxiety and panic attacks. She had cyclic mood problems. She had been to every single doctor, every single healer, every single alternative practitioner. Nothing changed it. She came to our event in Tacoma, Washington. And she hit that point where she became everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, every time, every place. She became the oneness. And that frequency had a message for her, and it said, and she was in incredible bliss when this happened. I sent 4 angels disguised as rapists for this moment. And that was the end of her terrors. That was the end of her night. She couldn't have a relationship. She could not live with anybody. She was isolated. One moment, the divine stepped in and gave her the signal. That was carrying a very specific message, and she got the download, not just the thought. She got the energy move right through her body, and she saw the whole thing. And that moment is what she was waiting for. That's what the soul was waiting for. Now she's healed, she's healthy, she's happy, and she's on with a new life. She's born again. My mother would love this. She's born again in the same life. Reborn in the same life. Didn't pass through a birth canal for it. She just was born again in the same life. She got a new lease in one instant. That energy was carrying a message, and it made its way all the way into the body. And the bliss and the joy and the gratitude and the love that she felt, and the message that was carried made total sense to her. She's free. One instant. To me, that's true forgiveness. That's the divine having its way with you.